U.S. Department of Education Assistant Secretary Peter Cunningham recently joined Congresswoman Mazie Hirono for a visit to Waimanalo Elementary and Intermediate School. The trip marked the U.S. Department of Education's first stop in Hawaii as part of its nationwide listening and learning tour.
What are you supposed to be writing down?
The weather.
Okay, which is what?
Slowly raining.
Slowly raining.
Students, teachers, parents, administrators, and community members took advantage of the opportunity to sit with the high-ranking education official and a member of Congress to provide an update on the work being done on the Waimanalo campus.
Teachers here really help us. They're here to help us. You can come in anytime, really. After school, during recess, during lunchtime. That's what's really helping me pass.
I can get through it because Miss Eagle, my teacher, is helping me with everything, so I can pass.
Waimanalo Elementary and Intermediate School is a designated Title I school, which means it is eligible for additional federal funding based on the school's higher percentage of students from low-income families. But students and teachers alike say they're working hard to make the most of every opportunity that comes their way.
Waimanalo School had a reputation of being a rough school in a rough community, but we're slowly changing that perception of the school. And I think for the first time in years that I can recall, last year was the first time where it had very little teacher turnover. So now we have a stabilized staff, which is very key in providing a great education for the students.
This is part of a national effort that Secretary Duncan, the Education Secretary, committed to when he first went to Washington. He said, we want to get to every state, we want to get there in the first year, we want to listen to people. So I'm really here to listen, I'm really here to hear from you, first of all about what's working, and it's clear that a lot of things are working here, but also what's not working and what some of the challenges are, because we're at a point where we're going to be working with members of Congress to reauthorize the federal education law, which is now called No Child Left Behind, but it will be called something else when we get through with it. And we really want to spend a lot of time thinking hard about what our role is in supporting schools like this one.
During his tour of the Waimanalo campus, the Assistant Secretary joined Congresswoman Hirono in visiting the school's Pre-Plus program. Congresswoman Hirono has long been a champion of quality early education. As Lieutenant Governor, she was instrumental in creating the Pre-Plus program, a public-private partnership that has provided facilities for preschool programs on 17 elementary school campuses across the island chain.
Waimanalo is one school that has a quality early education program, and we don't have that throughout the state. So the evidence shows that when a child has quality preschool experience, that they are going to be able to succeed better in school and in life.
Inevitably, the conversation turned to the so-called Furlough Fridays. The 17 days public schools will be shut down during the school year over the next 2 years in an effort to reduce the state of Hawaii's projected billion-dollar deficit during that same period. Secretary Cunningham says Furlough Fridays have Hawaii's educational system pointing in the wrong direction.
In the coming days, I'm going to be meeting with most of them, and that's going to be my message to them. You got to keep these kids in school. They need that time in school. As much as possible, I'm going to tell them to try and find solutions to this and find other funding. They're talking about the rainy day fund, and I credit the governor for bringing up that issue. And I think that that's exactly what they need to do. Is they need to dig deep, and they need to tighten their belts, and they need to tighten their belts in other places, but they shouldn't be balancing their budget on the backs of children. They really should be doing everything they can to keep them in school.
The last thing we really want is for the kids to lose their school days. They need to be in the classrooms and learning, so that's a real priority that I hope that we'll be able to work out. That's one thing. And then clearly there's a lot of money at the federal level now coming down to help our schools, and that's where having the secretary here is a really big part of enabling us to be able to compete successfully to improve our schools.